They have Section 2306, which allows a new extension of electric vehicles getting access to HOV lanes. These are the demands that they put in to say, we will not reopen the government unless we get electric vehicles into HOV lanes, and additional money for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and carbon management expenditures.
They want you to believe this is just another boring budget fight. Just numbers, just paperwork, just Washington being Washington. But let's confront the reality head on. A shutdown isn't an accident, it's a choice. And when politicians choose a shutdown, they are choosing leverage over livelihoods. Because this isn't just about keeping the lights on in government. It's about who's willing to turn the lights off to get what they want. And what you're about to hear next reveals a deeper problem, one that's been rotting our politics for years.
My Democratic colleagues, as the president knows full well, have brought forward a proposal. Their proposal is titled Continuing Appropriations and Extensions and Other Matters. Now, ours is just titled Continuing Appropriations and Extensions. Theirs is titled Continuing Appropriations and Extensions and Other Matters. It should make you say, well, what are the other matters? Well, ours just keeps the government open, that is, Republicans, just keeps the government open at status quo, where we are. Same level of spending, same functionality, that's where it focuses in on. My Democratic colleagues have brought their own proposal, which is $1.5 trillion in spending addition, and they include a couple new little nuggets in there, and other matters. They throw in like Section 135, which has a new element on carbon management expenditures, dealing with fossil fuels. They have a new section on climate change initiatives that are built into their and other matters. They have Section 154, which is getting additional funding to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. They have Section 2306, which allows a new extension of electric vehicles getting access to HOV lanes. These are the demands that they put in to say, we will not reopen the government unless we get electric vehicles into HOV lanes, and additional money for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and carbon management expenditures. And oh, by the way, there was a $50 billion rural health care fund that Republicans passed in the One Big Beautiful Bill. They also want to get rid of that $50 billion rural health care fund, saying we need to wipe that out. Can I tell you, rural hospitals really need the help. $50 billion would really be a huge help for them. We have called that the moonshot to be able to bring rural health care up to the standards that they need to be across the country. They just wiped that out and included that in their in other matters section. To say, yes, we want to open up the government, but we also want to close down more rural hospitals at the same time. Listen, we have disagreements on things. It's not we're just different parties. We come from different states and different areas. We have different perspectives. Welcome to America. We have different opinions on things. That's what this body is supposed to be about. But when we have disagreements, we should be able to actually sit down like grown-ups and talk to each other and figure out how to be able to solve it. That's what actually should be done. This is not a radical concept. This is a pretty straightforward concept. Surprisingly enough, my colleagues have agreed with me in the past on this. Let me just give you some examples. My colleague, Senator Ben Ray Lujan, in September of last year said shutting down the government should be a non-starter. My colleague, Senator Mark Warner, said government shutdowns unleash chaos on federal workers, delay pay for service members, and weaken our position on the global stage. My colleague, Bernie Sanders, said shutting down the government is a serious and dangerous action that we must do everything possible to prevent. Shutting down the government would impact tens of millions of our fellow Americans who would be unable to access government services. My colleague and friend Jackie Rosen said a government shutdown would be devastating to Nevada families. It would increase housing costs, take away food assistance for seniors and children in need. My colleague, Senator Mark Kelly, September of 2023, said a government shutdown would have serious impacts. Service members won't get their paychecks. Airports would have major delays. Nutrition assistance for children could be cut off. We can't let any of that happen. My colleague, Senator Elizabeth Warren, said the least we can do, the bare minimum we can do, would be to pass a continuing resolution to keep the doors open and the lights on. My colleague, Brian Schatz, said, I've seen the same thing over and over again. Shutdowns don't work. My colleague, Senator Gary Peters, said a government shutdown will be a disaster for our economy and for people in Michigan and across the country. My colleague, Tim Kaine, said, I'm a senator from Virginia. Some of the hardest effects of a shutdown would be seen in my state. My colleague, Senator Dick Durbin, has said, negotiating to avoid a government shutdown holds the livelihood of the American people and the proper functioning of this government hostage. My colleague, Amy Klobuchar, has said shutdowns are not good for the economy. And how about this one? Oh, I've got to find my favorite. My colleague, Chris Murphy, and my friend, made the statement, there's a time and a place to debate health care, just like there's a time and a place to debate energy policy, immigration, and education, but not when funding the federal government and all the lives that are impacted by it hang in the balance. I could not agree more.
Did you catch what just happened? Not just what he said loudly, but what the moment reveals quietly. 7 days into a shutdown, families stressed, workers in limbo, military pay threatened, the country looking weaker by the hour. And the fight isn't simply fund the government. The fight becomes, what else can we attach? What else can we extract? What else can we force through under urgency? That is the first moral line in the sand, because this isn't just politics. It's power. It's pressure. It's a test of who blinks first and who pays the price when no one does. Let's be honest. Everyone in Washington has talking points. But there's a pattern here that matters because it's not simply about one bill. It's about using shutdowns as a weapon. Listen to the contrast. A clean, continuing resolution versus a bill packed with other matters. That phrase sounds harmless, like a technical footnote, but it really means leverage. Turning a must-pass lifeline into a wish list, then daring the country to suffer until the wish list is met. And here's the question the media rarely asks. If shutdowns are so harmful and chaotic, why are they treated like a normal bargaining chip? Why condemn them one year and flirt with them the next? Why discover principle only when it's convenient? Because for too many leaders, the shutdown isn't the tragedy. It's the tool. It's the stage. And when the goal becomes prove you're fighting, the public becomes collateral. Notice what else happened. He recites Democrats by name, saying shutdowns unleash chaos, hurt families, and weaken America on the world stage. Those words were true then, and they're true now. So what changed? Not the impact, the incentive. And that exposes something uncomfortable. In Washington, people say the right thing, right up until the moment it costs them something. I'm not asking you to blindly accept every claim in every speech. You shouldn't. Verify, read the text, follow the votes, but confront reality head-on. This clip shows how quickly protect the people turns into pressure the other side, how quickly don't hurt workers becomes hold the line, how quickly this is dangerous becomes this is strategy. The deeper issue is what wasn't said. We've normalized crisis governing and playing chicken with America's stability every single year. Shutdown politics thrives when accountability dies. If the people who suffer are federal workers and military families, and the people who gamble are politicians in safe seats, then the incentives are backwards. Pain is outsourced. Consequences are outsourced. That's why his stay after class idea lands. Put the cost on the people making the decision. Keep Congress in session. No side bills. Do the appropriations work or don't leave. So here's why it matters. Every time a shutdown is rewarded as a tactic, we teach the next generation that chaos works, threats work, hostage-taking works. If you're tired of the annual crisis cycle, Demand clean votes and clean funding. No riders, no other matters. Call your senator's office and say it plainly. Reopen the government first, argue policy second, then demand accountability that bites. If they can't finish the work, they don't get to go home. Not the soldiers, not the workers, not the families. Them. Because the moment the pain lands where the power lives, the incentives change. And what happens next will tell you exactly who Washington really works for.